of this attack having, the nature of this crash having taken place so close to the airport premises. But at least as far as other operations are concerned, we are being told that they may be up now. People in Gujarat, the government, the agencies are working against time to ensure that they can mobilize as much help as possible. Visuals coming in from that civil hospital as well, where the Gujarat Chief Minister is also visible. He's visiting the facilities. I'm not sure of how many injured have been brought in so far. We don't have any update on that. But certainly we did get an update earlier that 133 have already been declared dead. That's almost half of the passengers list. 30 passengers were on board, plus 12 crew, including 2 pilots as well. All authorities are working to ensure that they can first focus on ensuring that both the crash site and other facilities are up to speed. BSF has also pushed 2 teams. CRPF Rapid Action Force 100 personnel have been sent, and from Group Center in Gandhinagar 50 personnel have been told to reach Ahmedabad. I'm also joined by Captain C.S. Randhawa, who's President of the Federation of Indian Pilots. Thanks a lot for joining us, Mr. Captain Randhawa. Your first thoughts on this crash that has taken place?
It was an extremely tragic crash which has happened in Ahmedabad, and I came to know about just about 1 hour and 30 minutes after the crash, and I could attribute this maybe due to birds, because Ahmedabad has got a big problem about birds. So until unless, because the captain has given a mayday call. So a mayday call, if it was one engine failure, he could have easily handled it. Even if it was an engine fire, he could have handled it. So the 2 possibilities which are very, very likelihood which could have taken place is both engine failure due to bird strike or some jamming of the control.
And how does that, we've spoken about bird ingestion issue and how rare that would be for both engines to go out because of that issue so quickly after takeoff. But you're talking about these jamming issues. Can you explain what they are and how they happen?
The jamming of the control could have taken place, maybe the elevator, because that is what is responsible for the aircraft to lift off, and I presume that the aircraft has initially taken off and maybe about 200-300 feet, and 200 feet you engage the autopilot, and thereafter it has started descending, if you see the video. Now I'm going by the total video clip. Rest will come out in the DFDR and the CVR, what has taken place, because there has been no call after the pilot has given the mayday call.
Right. Exactly. There has been no communication after the mayday call. Yes.
No communication whatsoever, and like once in a million chance it does happen. Like we saw the Hudson crash where the aircraft was ingested. Both the engines were flamed out by the ingestion of the birds. So there is a possibility, because I have flown a lot over Ahmedabad and I have done a lot of training flights, 20 landings in a day I have done, training. So birds are a big problem there. There is no doubt about it. So I foresee a very high chance of both engine failure.
That's what most experts are pointing out to, that we have spoken.
Yes.
But even that is extremely rare, isn't it? Both engines just don't go off.
Yes, it is a very rare possibility, but possible. In aviation, sometimes things happen the first time. Because it's not an old machine. It's a new aircraft, maybe about 7-8 years old, and a technical fault like this has never taken place on I have flown the 777 and of course on the 787 also I was converted. So these aircraft are unlikely to have such problems. Till now in the world they have had no problem on the 787 and the 777s.
Yeah.
So very high possibility of a bird ingestion because he's given a mayday call. Now that depends that what that mayday call was.
So, sir, in your
Is
experience, these
yeah.
moments, what would these moments have been like for the captains in the cockpit?
I would say the pilot, when he's given the mayday call, he was he was knowing that it's a no-go situation. It is the end because height is not there at all. You see, height was not there, and nothing the pilot could have done. It is just after liftoff. At least when the Hudson crash took place, he had the height. He put the aircraft down in the Hudson Bay. But in this case, he had no. I don't think so he had any control, and the aircraft had just gone on the takeoff path and outside the perimeter. That's
Well,
gone and crashed in the
very, very,
populated area.
very unfortunate, Captain Randhawa. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Very, very unfortunate situation there, viewers. What a tragedy to be covering. It's completely, the heart sinks every time you see those pictures. I'm joined by Praful Patel, former Union Aviation Minister. Mr. Patel, this has happened in Ahmedabad. Not very often that Indian aviation is caught up in an incident such as this. The last time there was one was, of course, during COVID, and before that, substantial time had elapsed before 2010. What are your first thoughts when you see some of these pictures, Mr. Patel, and a comment generally on Indian aviation, safety protocols in Indian aviation?
I'm very shocked and distressed and very sad that such an incident has taken place. And you're right, after many years, it's not very often that we see such tragic incidents in Indian aviation. And let me tell you that on the whole, when you talk of safety and systems, I can assure you that Indian aviation is probably one of the safest in the world. We have all the protocols in place. Our DGCA is very robust and effective. And to find, to pick holes into our ability to manage Indian aviation would be very unfair. And I always say this, and I repeat, that aviation is either 100% or zero. There's nothing like 99.9% in aviation. And therefore, in this case also, look at the aircraft. It arrived from Ahmedabad from Delhi. Obviously, it flew without any issue. And to take a 9.5 hour journey from Ahmedabad to London, obviously the pilots would have done all the pre-flight checks. And no pilot is foolish enough to take off if he is not satisfied. The captain per se in this aircraft would have also had thousands and thousands of hours of command, and a 787 and today's aircraft per se are very robust, fail-safe. They have many backup systems, and to really think what went wrong, I would be hazarding a guess, which would not be fair. But the point here is the aircraft did go on a takeoff roll, and between the time the wheels went up and the time it crashed, probably the time frame would have been almost only about 60 seconds or so, because you can't go to 800 feet and crash and it be within less. I mean, the time span is only 60 seconds. Now, he's already given a mayday call. Now, I don't know what exactly went wrong. It will be, again, hazarding a guess, which would be unfair. The only thing which can be ascertained is now, since the aircraft has fallen just a few hundred meters from the airport and in the BJ Medical Complex, therefore, to retrieve the black box and the other equipment would be also, quite simple. We would be able to ascertain only after that. Let me tell you one more thing. In today's aircraft, they are very sophisticated. All the parameters of an aircraft, right? Every single second the aircraft is in the air, all the parameters are recorded, not only by the aircraft, but they are also transmitted to a central command, real time, of the airline itself. So if there is, when an aircraft does a flight, there is a way to ascertain every single parameter during whatever the duration of the flight. So if anything would have gone wrong prior to this flight, or which may have escaped the attention of anybody, I'm sure this will be retrieved in no time once the equipment is found.
Now, Mr. Patel, just to go back in time, because this fleet, the Dreamliner, very, very safe. I think from what the experts are saying, and I only have them to sort of lean on for facts, they've said that this is the first time a Dreamliner has actually crashed anywhere in the world. Now, most of these Dreamliners were purchased, I suppose, about 10, 12, 15 years back by Air India when it was still government owned. Obviously, there would have been a huge procedure that must have unfurled within government to select the plane. There would have been due diligence. There would have been all sorts of studies that would have been conducted.
Well, most certainly. I mean, first, the procedure itself in government is a very robust procedure. Goes through several layers. And ultimately, the basic selection of aircraft is done only on technical parameters. Because, the airline, requires a certain type of aircraft for certain, lengths of the flights. You want to go to the US, you want to go to the European countries, or to, 8-hour flights, 12-hour flights, and so on. And the kind of configuration you want. Let me also tell you that the Dreamliner, at the time it was ordered, was one of the most sophisticated, advanced fly-by-wire aircraft which was going to be produced. And it was ordered by probably most major airlines in the world, Air India also being one of the early ones. And to now even discuss it would be unfair, because after this particular aircraft itself, which has crashed, had been flying for almost 11 years. And if you see any major airline in the world, and if you go at any moment of time, there would be more than 1,000 787s up and flying any part of the world. So I'm sure when, of course, the orders are placed, every other parameter is also examined. And of course, it is the airline's requirement which primarily drives what is the choice of aircraft. Let me also remind you that in the world for wide body, you only have two aircraft manufacturers. You have a Boeing and an Airbus, and the comparable aircraft are a 350 for the Airbus or a 787 Dreamliner for Boeing. So it's not really that we are ending up with too many choices. And let me be honest, whether it's a Boeing 787 or an A350 of Airbus, technically, technologically, they would all be on par in terms of efficiency. So it's a minor thing between one and the other. But the fact of the matter is, all the machines flying today, irrespective of this type of aircraft, are very, very robust and sound. And every aircraft has backup after backup. I don't think, of course, the pilot's efficiency, his knowledge, his presence of mind is the most important factor in any aircraft flying. But even technically, an aircraft, is so designed that it can overtake a lot of functions which a human, mind and hand cannot, perform in the shortest possible time. So the response time of an aircraft, its systems are very, very robust.
Here, of course, there seems to have been a catastrophic failure of lift, and that didn't give the pilot, even though very experienced pilot with lots of man hours of flying, didn't give much of time to the pilot to even react. And only a mayday call, and as you said yourself, 60 seconds, and it was down laden with fuel. Obviously, there will be questions asked. I'm at this moment as in the dark as anyone else, Mr. Patel, about what could have been the reasons. But there has been a lot of internal strife within Tata after it took over this particular airline. Singapore Airlines came into it, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of cost cutting, lots of valuable AI senior engineers were sort of let go of. Could this have at some level affected operations, maintenance, checks, all of that? Do you think, or it's too premature to get into any of this?
I think it is premature. See, the other point is, Rahul, that the fact of the matter is that there's a human being, a senior experienced captain who is flying the machine.
Yeah.
And he has every right to say, I cannot fly this machine because it is unfit to fly or there's a technical deficiency. And if there was one, he wouldn't have done it himself.
Yes.
So I think it's hazarding a little bit of a wild guess. Yes, but I would also like to say that the maintenance of Air India compares to the best anywhere in the world. Now, yes, you are also plagued with certain older aircraft. You are plagued with certain other problems, like you just said, because it's been integration of the old with the new. But that does not come into the way of the safety of the aircraft per se. And I would therefore say, and I can also say with a lot of sense of confidence, that Indian aviation checks and balances of the DGCA and other, the airline also has its own manual. The airline also has its own SOPs. The airlines don't cut corners, especially an airline like Air India, to, save cost or something just for the heck of making some more money. I would say that Air India as an airline has its own SOPs put very, very strongly in place. And again, this commander, or many of the commanders, or most of the commanders, I would say, flying a 787 have so many thousands and thousands of hours of pilot in command that they know the aircraft inside out. They know everything what needs to be done. And I don't think an aircraft flying to London on a 9.5 hour flight would have taken off without the proper pre-flight checks by the captain or his second in command.
What would you now say in the aftermath to passengers? Remember, the aviation sector was really, really coming back after COVID, the disruption of COVID, one of the hardest hit sectors, as we know. But it's really bounced back. We have record number of flights, record number of airports opening across the country. I am sure for a few days there's going to be some consternation, maybe even a little bit of apprehension in the minds of a large number of passengers, civilians, customers, etc. What's your message to them?
Well, my message is that, very sad and tragic. I'm sure people do get shaken up when they see such, visuals on their screen. But aviation still, by far, is the safest mode of transportation anywhere in the world. And if you consider the accident to the number of flights ratio, I think it will be far, 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 safer than any other public transport. So let's not panic. Let's not think that this could be, an everyday affair. And we should be patient, confident, and also be confident that our aviation in India is absolutely in good shape. Let's not, see one incident. This accident unfortunately happened in India. Probably it could have happened anywhere in the world. When we see a visual in any other part of the world, we don't get so upset. Because it's happened in our country, we will certainly be, stirred and shaken. Let's just have faith. Our aviation sector is good, sound, safe, and this is, of course, a lesson. We should, strengthen our systems even further, and we should learn from some things. If at all, the inquiry, once it's complete, will, throw up some definitely revelation as to what has happened. So we should be, concerned, but we shouldn't be scared, and we shouldn't, stop flying or reduce our flying, or every time you fly, you start praying to God. Of course, we pray otherwise, but we don't have to worry about safety and pray. That's all I'm trying to convey.
Right, Mr. Patel, on that note, thank you very much for speaking to us as we pray, of course, for those who were in harm's way. You're seeing that building. Thank you, Mr. Patel, very much for speaking to me.
My thoughts and prayers
yes.
are with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You see that visual on the left of your screens, viewers? That's the tail of the plane that has crashed through a hostel attached to a medical college just outside the perimeter wall of this particular airport in Ahmedabad, the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. And we're apprehending that there might be casualties because this accident took place at around 1:45. and it was lunch hour, and there were many students, many doctors, aspiring doctors in the canteen, and the plane crashed into the canteen, and those visuals tell the story. Viewers, very quickly, let me give you a quick update. Operations have resumed at the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport in Ahmedabad. This is PIB India putting out that update. The airlines and the Aviation Ministry have put out a medical emergency helpline and a control room helpline. It's 0793508211. That number will flash as it is right now under our screen. You can see it. You can call in if you have apprehensions that some of your relatives or others that you know might actually be in harm's way. I want very quickly to give you a quick overview, viewers, as we continue our coverage. The RPF disaster management team, headed by ASC and ADI plus 6 staff, along with hospital team, 6 doctors, 20 staff and 7 ambulance, rendering all possible help in rescue operation. The tragic Air India flight crash at Ahmedabad. We don't still know if there have been any survivors. We are gleaning through data that is coming in through the hospitals to figure that one out, but quite clearly that's the timeline to the right of your screens. At 1:39 it takes off. Within 60 seconds it has a catastrophic loss of lift. The plane goes down, goes crashing into a building which was attached to a hospital, education institution, goes straight into that building. The building itself is covered by ATF. The plane was loaded with ATF because, as you know, it was taking off to travel to Gatwick Airport in London, or the extremities of London. The MEA has reacted and said that details will be shared with governments of foreign countries, because there were a number of citizens from other nations on board this international flight. Air India chairman N. Chandrasekaran is likely to reach Ahmedabad tonight. That's what we're being told. Large number of residents, we're being told, are also feared dead after the aircraft crashed into the Atulyam super speciality doctor's residence. At the time of the incident, around 200 people were residing in the building, the 94 flats there, and you can see the absolutely charred super frame of that building after the plane dived into it, completely losing control. There was a mayday call that was issued by the pilots before the ATC could even sort of respond. The plane went down in that ball of fire. We're also being told that the Ahmedabad airport that had been shut down has now been reopened, and flight safety protocols are being followed with utmost care. There are also directions that have gone out to prevent people when they take off, take photographs. So you won't be allowed to do all of that, because clearly the flight path. Let me go across to Payal for more updates. We're told that Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah will be landing there forthwith. Payal, what are the updates?
As far as the Ahmedabad airport is concerned, Rahul, is one of the busiest airports in Gujarat, because not only does it have so many domestic flights coming, it's a busy destination as far as businesses are concerned, but it also has a lot of international connectivity as well. But that airport has been opened up, in a calibrated manner, so passengers have been requested that they should check the timings of the flight, etc., and only then move to the airport. As far as the Union Home Minister is concerned, he is expected to reach there in some time, and the Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu is also expected to reach anywhere between 5:30 and 6 p.m. And just a short while ago, Muralidhar Mohal, the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, along with all the DGC officials, along with the Civil Aviation Secretary Mrs. Samir Sinha, they are all on board, so they should also be landing in Ahmedabad in a couple of hours as well. And this flight of happiness and hope, has turned into a flight of tragedy for so many people, who were looking to go back to their homes, especially the foreign nationals, and to many as well. So, our hearts really go out to these people. But, like I said, the government of the day has said that they'll get to the bottom of this, and nobody who is involved with any negligence whatsoever will be spared, is what we're given to understand. But yes, flights are going to be resuming in a calibrated manner, and therefore all kind of numbers, whether it's medical emergency numbers or numbers concerning finding the loved ones even at hospitals, etc., have been put out by the civil administration. Bhupendra Patel, the Chief Minister, was at the civil hospital just a short while ago. So all hands on the deck approach, Rahul.
Absolutely. There are also more updates that are coming in, viewers, as we scroll through the news updates that are coming up on my screen here. We're also being told that the Air India has called upon the authorities to investigate and ensure that all examinations, forensic examinations of the crash site, etc., are conducted utmost. We're also being told that Air India management officials have held meetings with DGCA staff. Air India has been asked to submit the health report of all their aircrafts. There are also some pictures that make the heart really weak coming in from inside the mess of the hostel where the plane crashed. Devastating scenes there. One just hopes that the casualty figures are not as high as what appears from the scene of devastation. We're being told that former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Rupani, was on board. We don't still know whether he has survived this or he's injured. We have no updates really on his well-being, but he was a former Chief Minister of Gujarat from 2016 to 2021, the State President of Gujarat. When his name was declared as the Chief Minister, he took over from Anandiben Patel, Miss Anandiben Patel, former MP from the Rajya Sabha and a two-time MLA, hailed from Rajkot West, came from an influential Jain community. He didn't fight the 2022 Assembly poll, citing his wish to step back from electoral politics. He was currently in charge of Punjab for the BJP and was on his way to England and was aboard that flight. There are pictures also coming in of the ill-fated crew of this flight, and we are told that there were at least 10 crew members on board this flight from different parts of the country. Many leaders, many countries are extending commiserations, shock at the events. Remember, this is the first time in recorded history that the Dreamliner has gone down. Very reliable aircraft. Many people are convinced that this aircraft could not have suffered the failures that are being attributed to it. But viewers, as we know, one can't give in to speculation. This is an extremely sensitive situation right now, and therefore one cannot hazard any information on what could have gone wrong in a speculative way. We're being told now, no survivors of this crash, but we are going to not take that at face value till the authorities come out and give us some sort of a confirmation. But Payal, it does seem that the outlook is not good. Okay, we don't have Payal. We're going to go back to Payal in just a few moments. But hotline numbers have been set up for people to check in and find out on the state of affairs and, of course, on their own relatives. We are being told that there were 53 British nationals, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian on board this Air India flight. 169 Indian nationals were on board. It was a flight that was almost full, Ahmedabad London flight, and at this time of the year, viewers, there is huge traffic between the two destinations given the fact that this is a peak holiday season. I want to go straight across to Anvit. Anvit, a lot of people heading out to London on this particular flight. We're getting some details. We're being told unofficially that the possibility of survivors is very slim. What's the update that you're getting?
Yeah, certainly, you see, Rahul, that toll is what we are being unofficially confirmed by the sources on ground. It is being said that it has already been counted up to 150, and it certainly is unfortunately expected to only rise from here, because the kind of incident it was, and we initially also saw how the plane went up in flames. It clearly was indicative of the fact that the number of casualties and fatalities would certainly be high, not just those in the plane but also on ground. The collateral damage that it has caused, because it was a heavily residential area, and the building in which the plane had crashed, which was the doctor's hostel, that also, from there also, a number of occupants had to be rushed to medical facilities, and deaths have been reported from there as well. So ground damage certainly is there, but all what we are being told by the officials who are in this rescue operation, that number of survivors is really really bleak as what we are getting from the ground. Also, because the incident that this is, and what we are being told by the experts, is that the two major chances that this incident took place, one is dual engine failure, which could be one reason could be power outage, or another reason could also be bird ingestion. But it is also being said that it's very unlikely that bird ingestion would cause both engines to go down. Another reason what we're learning is could be control jamming, which is also a subject matter of investigation, and the AIB will now take over the investigation as their teams are already on ground, and investigation in this manner will also be done. But what we are learning from the ground is, yes, that the fatalities have increased to more than 150, and chances of any survivors are really, really bleak, which is unfortunate.
Well, that is very, very sad news if true. We're going to hold back on giving you those numbers because we don't have confirmation from official sources, and CNN News 18 will not report casualties.